Under the bright glare of geopolitics, a single allegation has ignited a complex debate. Azerbaijan claims India blocked its elevation to full membership in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and that the motive was simple revenge for Baku's open embrace of Pakistan during Operation Sindhur. India's public line rejects that reading, saying no final decision was taken at the Tianjin summit and that both Armenia and Azerbaijan remain under consideration. Between accusation and denial lies a battlefield of narratives, strategic signaling, and timing, where perception can be as potent as policy. Start with the crux of the claim. Baku's leadership and media painted India as the decisive hand that once again stalled Azerbaijan's admission, casting the moment not as a routine procedural delay, but as a pointed geopolitical message. In their telling, the message traces back to Operation Sindhur, the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack and India's retaliatory strikes, when Azerbaijan's rhetoric and posture favored Pakistan in unmistakable terms. Words and optics mattered, solidarity statements, high-profile affirmations, and a tone that framed Islamabad's position as a kind of victory. Those cues were received in New Delhi not as casual diplomatic courtesies, but as a direct political signal at a moment of heightened sensitivity. Yet New Delhi publicly maintained a clinical stance. The assertion from its foreign ministry was not moralistic or retaliatory, it was procedural. The agenda was crowded. Member states did not reach the item. The applications of Armenia and Azerbaijan were not adjudicated and would carry forward for later consideration. By sticking to process and carefully avoiding any acknowledgement of motive, India left the door ajar for future deliberation while refusing to validate the narrative that SCO accession had been weaponized in a bilateral quarrel. Beneath those official positions, a deeper layer of interpretation took hold. Commentators suggested that if India indeed played hardball behind closed doors, it could serve two strategic aims at once. One, signal that overt alignment with Pakistan, especially during a crisis branded in India as counter-terror retaliation, would carry costs in multilateral lanes where New Delhi's weight matters. Two, ride the undercurrent of inter-SCO balancing, especially amid reports of frictions between Baku and Moscow, thereby aligning a firm stance on Azerbaijan's bid with broader club dynamics. In this view, the move would be elegant. One action, two outcomes, discipline the Pakistan linkage and maintain equilibrium within a group where Russia and China balance expansion with cohesion. But this analytical neatness collides with the opacity of diplomatic process. India has not publicly articulated any dual-intent doctrine. No official communiques confirm coordination around Russia's preferences. Assertions that China favored Azerbaijan's entry while India demurred are aired in media narratives rather than grounded in on-record positions of capitals. The risk in elevating these interpretations to fact is that they turn a procedural holding pattern into a declared verdict and inferred motives into settled policy. The public record remains sharply simpler: an allegation from Baku, a procedural rebuttal from New Delhi, and a file that officially is still open. Still, politics does not unfold only in official registers. The fallout from Operation Sindhur's rhetoric rippled into Indian public sentiment, travel boycotts, corporate cancellations, and a spate of commentary that linked consumer choice to national signaling. Those domestic reactions, while not state policy, form the backdrop in which diplomats operate. In such environments, multilateral admissions, normally slow, technical, and unglamorous, become symbols. The question is no longer just whether a candidate meets criteria. It is whether admitting that candidate in that moment rewards or penalizes certain alignments. This is where Azerbaijan's framing of the episode as a breach of the Shanghai spirit comes into play. The SCO is often described in terms of consensus, mutual respect, and a shared approach to security and regional development. Baku's narrative suggests that India smuggled a bilateral grievance into a multilateral arena, redefining consensus as gatekeeping. India's denial seeks to neutralize that charge by treating the matter as an administrative timing issue rather than a substantive choice. The space between these two accounts is strategic ambiguity. It lets each side speak to its audience without foreclosing future compromise. Then there is the reported Russia dimension. Some regional reporting casts Moscow as quietly aligned with India's caution, with China portrayed as more open to Baku's elevation. None of these portrayals are officially confirmed. They are, at best, plausible readings of shifting ties among the major powers and Azerbaijan's own recent frictions with Russia. But even unconfirmed, such narratives shape expectations. If the SCO's senior members are divided, expansion becomes slower. If they converge, doors open more easily. In that sense, the Azerbaijan bid has become a proxy for understanding how India, Russia, and China calibrate South Caucasus access within a club already contending with internal strains. From a pure strategic communication standpoint, Azerbaijan's revenge framing is canny. It casts Baku as the principled ally punished for loyalty to a brother state, thereby transforming a procedural non-decision into a moral drama. It also pressures India by implying that any future approval would be a climb down from punitive politics rather than a routine outcome of deliberation. For India, the cost of engaging that narrative is obvious. Acknowledging the moral charge concedes the frame, hence the reliance on a tight, process-first public line. What then of the two birds with one stone thesis? As a description of how observers read the game, it is coherent. In moments when membership decisions are malleable, great and middle powers often seek outcomes that serve multiple lines of effort. Here, a firm stance could be read as both a response to Pakistan-linked signaling and as a prudent move amid SCO power balancing. But as a description of declared Indian policy, it is unproven. Strategic ambiguity is not the same as dual intent. The prudent conclusion is that the thesis remains analysis, not fact, unless and until principles speak to it. The path forward runs through process. If the membership files for Armenia and Azerbaijan resurface at the next ministerial or leaders' meeting with time and consensus to record an outcome, the internal balance will become more legible. If prominent capitals publicly stake positions, the fog will lift further. Alternatively, the matter could continue to drift in the limbo where many delicate accessions live, neither approved nor rejected. A reminder that in multilateral politics, the calendar can be a tool as potent as the veto. Meanwhile, the broader lesson for regional players is that alignment signaling during security crises travels far beyond a news cycle. In an interconnected diplomatic ecosystem, supportive statements, presidential remarks, and televised embraces can translate into months of altered atmospherics. Those atmospherics, in turn, color how otherwise technical questions, admissions, observer upgrades, agenda priorities are handled. No one admits it on the record, everyone understands it off the record. Strip away the narratives, and the state of play is stark. Azerbaijan says it was blocked in retaliation for supporting Pakistan during Operation Sindhur. India says no decision was taken and the matter remains under consideration. Analysts add a possible Russia angle and a club balance logic. Each thread is plausible, only one is official. Whether this episode becomes a precedent that imposes costs for South Asian alignments or fades into the background as a pause before eventual integration depends less on the heat of today's commentary than on the choices major players make when the SCO's calendar next turns.